Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Sunday, except this Sunday is going to be a little bit different. Today I'm going to be doing an Avengers Endgame spoiler talk. And this also isn't going to be in a typical review structure. I'm not going to give a score or anything like that at the end because it's not really going to be a review. I'm just going to be going over my favorite moments, the things I liked, the things I didn't like, in an in-depth spoiler-filled discussion. So let's hop right into it, folks. Firstly, this movie comes out swinging. Right out of the gate, we see Hawkeye with his perfect little family, and then they get dusted and your heart breaks immediately. Right out of the gate, your eyes are filling up with tears. This movie hits you where it hurts right away, but of course then Hawkeye becomes Ronin and he is the ultimate badass. He's got throwing stars, he's got his bow and arrows, got this badass new sword, new haircut, tattoos. He just goes apeshit and it's totally cool, and I loved seeing him be Ronin. And then next, of course, we get Tony and Nebula being saved by Captain Marvel, which I'm iffy on it, okay? It's not a negative. I thought it was cool and I expected it, especially after seeing Captain Marvel, but I just felt like we didn't get enough of Tony surviving. Like, we had that emotional moment from the trailer, which you do get in the movie, but I just found that there really wasn't enough emotion there, not enough survival to really feel that desperation that we were supposed to feel. But I did like when they got back to Earth, Tony looked so thin, he looked starving, and they did a really great job on that. Then of course the team tracks down Thanos, and oops, before you know it, the stones have been dusted themselves, and Thanos gets a decappuccino. And then you get Thor's little line, "I went for the head." That was awesome, even though it was kind of shitty, I guess, in the sense that Thanos was gone so quick and without a fight at all, but that line was pretty epic. And then shortly after, we have the time jump, and seeing the world recover I thought was awesome. Seeing the Statue of Liberty surrounded by huts and boats, and figuring that's where everyone lives, as well as seeing our remaining heroes try to live these normal lives. You know, Cap is at these almost PTSD-like meetings, and then Black Widow's just eating a peanut butter sandwich. I really did like that stuff, and of course, the centerpiece in the heart of this rebuilding is seeing that Tony and Pepper finally have their daughter, and Tony is a fantastic father, and those were some of the most heartwarming and beautiful moments in the movie. And of course, that's where we get the "I love you 3000. Next is the fact that I think everyone is kind of glossing over the fact that the entire universe is saved by a rat, because a rat just steps on the control panel, brings Scott Lang back, and then Scott Lang goes to everyone with this plan. They do the plan, you know how the movie goes. Next up, we finally get our first look at Professor Hulk. I know a lot of people didn't really like this whole Professor Hulk thing. I'm not a huge comic book reader, but I know who Professor Hulk is, so this wasn't really that weird to me. It did take some getting used to, but I thought he was funny, I thought he was unique, it was a cool spin on the character that we had yet to see in the movies. And then of course we have the second act of the movie, which is the whole time traveling aspect. Now, it doesn't always make sense. I know there's a lot of logical errors, but in my mind, I just kind of overlooked them, really, because that's not what the movie is here for. It's not here to be a Back to the Future styled time travel movie. Like, that's not the main focus. The heart of the movie is the movie itself, is these heroes, is the Infinity Stones. So I don't really care about the logical errors, if I'm being honest. You know, people can pick them apart all they want, but to me, that's just annoying nitpicking. But then, of course, it leads to basically the best of the MCU. Okay, we get the first Avengers, and seeing those events unfold from different perspectives, as well as you see that, oh, the Ancient One was actually there doing stuff, makes the continuity a little bit better. You get the reenactment of the elevator scene from Winter Soldier, but instead of an epic fight, you just get Cap going, "Hail Hydra," and then fighting himself. You get America's ass. You get to see Thor: The Dark World, again from different perspectives, and Thor gets that final goodbye with his mother, which was beautiful, I might add. It was so sweet. I'm so happy that that character got that moment. You get stuff from the first Guardians movie, and of course you get a lot more Nebula in this movie, which I thought that Nebula, Karen Gillan, did a great job. But the funny part from that one was, of course, the opening when you see Quill. Of course, when we're watching Guardians, we hear the music as he hears it, and he's dancing around having a blast, but then you just have War Machine and Nebula watching him just kind of kick water and sing to himself and dance around. That was friggin' funny. Then, of course, Tony gets those absolutely perfect moments with his father. I've seen some people complain online about these two being too slow. I thought they were magnificent. Him kind of giving these tips to his father, and him coming to terms with the fact that even though his father didn't always show it, he knew that his father loved him. And of course, Cap gets those moments where he sees Peggy behind the window. He knows that she's still looking for him. He knows that she still loves him and thinks about him on a daily basis. And I really feel like this is the segue into that final few Cap moments. And then of course we get Black Widow's sacrifice. Wow, she is officially gone. As far as I'm concerned, we still have her solo movie coming down the pipeline at some point. I'm sure that's going to be some kind of prequel, because I don't think they're going to bring her back for the future of the movies. But of course, Hawkeye and her have their little mini battle, not killing each other, but just trying to knock each other off course so the other one can sacrifice. That moment was almost too much for me. I almost cracked there. I felt every bit of emotion. Then, of course, they collect all the stones. They get back. They put it in the new Iron Man themed gauntlet. The Hulk puts it on. He does the snap. We kind of feel like things are getting back together. Of course, Hawkeye gets his phone call, but then at the same moment, the nebulas are switched, brings Thanos' ship through the portal up into the sky, and then last second, Scott Lang looks up, and then, giant spaceship rains down missiles onto Avengers facility, tearing it apart. Of course, none of the heroes die. I thought they were close. I really did think that they might have offed a couple there. They did not, though. And then we get the epic moments. The big three come together once again, that being Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man to take on Thanos. And then, of course, one of the biggest, quite possibly the biggest moment in the entire movie. It looks like Thanos is about to off Thor. Mjolnir is there. Boom, looks like it's gonna crack Thanos in the head, or Thor's gonna grab it, or whatever, because Thor has both Stormbreaker and Mjolnir, flies right past the both of them and into Captain America's hands. Holy shit, okay? And I could not have been happier. So epic. And then, of course, you have him basically ripping Thanos apart, throwing the shield with one hand, throwing Mjolnir back and forth, absolutely cracking him. And then you have Thanos turning the fight around and actually smashing up Cap's shield, something that no one ever thought was possible. And then, of course, we have quite possibly the most epic moment in cinema, between Cap getting Mjolnir and this one. But all of a sudden, Cap is ready for the final showdown. He is prepared to die, and then we just see the portal open up in the background, and then tons of portals open up, and everyone joins the final fight. All the heroes are back. They bring with them their armies, and we are ready for the final fight. Of course, we get all of these amazing reunions. I almost cried at that part. I was so happy when everyone started pouring over the portals, and I was like, this is going to be the most epic finale ever. Of course it was. And then the first moment I actually did crack, and the tears did begin to pour and literally did not stop, and that is when Peter and Tony lock eyes. Peter is back, and Tony just gives him that hug. Broke me right away. We get all these different meetups. Of course, we have that epic moment where the cannons stop firing on everybody below, turn and start firing at something else. It's Captain Marvel. The fact that these cannons register her as a bigger threat than the rest of the MCU on the ground was epic. She just tears it apart, destroys it in 2 seconds. And we have the game of cat and mouse with everybody trying to get the gauntlet. And something else that I found a lot of people weren't really addressing is the fact that Vision stays dead. I thought for sure Vision was coming back, but yes, he stays dead. One of the other most epic moments of the movie, possibly of the entire MCU, we get all of the badass female characters coming together. Holy shit. Peter hands off the gauntlet and he's like, how are you gonna get through that on your own? And then it's, nope, she's not alone. Scarlet Witch lands, Pepper lands with her Iron Lady armor on, Mantis is there, Gamora's there, Okoye's there, Shuri's there, all of the badass female Avengers, and then of course they are tearing everyone and everything apart in the most epic, badass, wonderful fashion. And then I have another smaller moment which I thought was amazing, and that's the fact that Thanos pretty much destroys everybody he comes in contact with, and then he tries to headbutt Captain Marvel, and it's not even a moment where she kind of like just takes it like a champ. No, he just goes bink, and she doesn't even move, just bink, 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 nothing. She is so cool. The movie continues. Then we have one of the final moments of the movie, and again, sobbing. Thanos finally has the gauntlet on. He gets a little scuffle with Iron Man. We think it's over. He says, I am inevitable. Tink. Nothing happens. He looks, all the stones are gone. They are on Tony Stark, and we get it. We get it. I am Iron Man, just like the end of the first Iron Man. And then, of course, he dies. Iron Man is gone. Like, he's actually gone. And I was literally, like, bawling uncontrollably at that point when people get their goodbye. Especially, again, Tom Holland, man, he's so damn good in these dramatic moments. Come up saying it's gonna be okay, Mr. Stark, hold on. Pepper gets her final goodbye. I just literally was uncontrollably, just messy, gross, ugly crying. And then we get some awesome moments. Of course, we see the world getting put back together. The Wakandan help facilities are coming into play here, helping everyone get back together. Although I do have one small problem with that. We see Peter go back to school, but if there's a 5-year time jump, why would Peter be going back to high school if he was 15 and then 5 years later and then he wouldn't still be going to high school. He might be in, maybe it's university, but it looks like the Far From Home might not be in university. I'm sure it will address it, but it looks like he's just going back to high school. And then we get hit in the feels once again. We have the funeral of Tony Stark. Wow, that just wasn't fair. Seeing everyone come together, knowing that he has a daughter now, seeing that bushel float away with the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, the first arc reactor made in the cave, that moment that Pepper gives it to him, again, sobbing mess. Then we get another smaller moment where Happy says that he'll do whatever he can for Morgan, and especially the cheeseburger. She wants a cheeseburger. He says, I'm going to look after you. I'm going to get you all the cheeseburgers you want. Again, that's from the first Iron Man when he says, you know, he wants a cheeseburger. That's the first thing he wants when he finally gets back home. And then, of course, we know that when Cap goes back with the Infinity Stones, he goes right past his timeline and finds his happiness. We get old Cap handing off the shield to Falcon again. Beautiful, wonderful moment. I am excited to see him become the new Captain America as time goes on. And then we get the closing shot. Cap gets his final dance, gets his happy ending, gets that life that Tony was talking about, that sitting down, that at-home life that he always dreamed of. He finally gets it. The movie could not have ended on a more perfect and beautiful note. Another major thing that I loved about this movie is the fact that it had three very clearly defined acts. You have the build-up for the first little while, you have the time travel aspect of it for the middle, and then you get basically the entire final epic action sequence, and that is the third act. And I really don't understand why people aren't liking the first act. Some people are complaining it was too slow, it was too this, it was too that. I thought this movie was wonderfully paced. I did not find that it got slow at all. It was 3 hours that felt like 2 hours. It was amazing to me the entire time. And lastly, for the kind of positives of this movie that I want to gush about is the fact that this movie, again, like I said, was basically a best of the MCU styled movie. Almost every single MCU movie gets touched on. Now, the few negatives that I have, of course, I only named one in my spoiler-free review. That's because, again, it's spoiler-free. And the character that I was talking about that became a complete joke was Thor, okay? The whole fat Thor thing that everyone's talking about, it just, to me, it was a funny little gag at first to see how he let himself go, but then when they kept that going, I couldn't take him seriously at all, especially when he has Stormbreaker and Mjolnir and then puts the armor on, but he's still got the big gut and now the braided beard and the goofy looking hair in the armor. I just didn't take it seriously at all. I could not. I was just laughing at him. You know, he still had his good moments, but for the most part, I thought it was just a joke what they did to him. And this next negative isn't really a negative, it is the fact that I'm afraid almost for the MCU going forward. I'm just thinking, like, how do they top this? How do they build back up again, okay? The fans, myself included, we expect a certain degree of connectivity, a certain degree of polish, of perfection. How does it get bigger from Endgame? How does it go forward? Okay, we have Endgame. And then we have Spider-Man Far From Home, which I'm sure will be good, but then how do you build towards the next big thing? Are we just supposed to stick around for another 11 years before we get another Endgame-styled event? Are we ever gonna get another Endgame-styled event? Like, how do you go forward with this, right? I see where they left a few storylines open, but I'm almost scared. I feel like it might lose steam now. I feel like a lot of fans, they feel satisfied with Endgame as an ending to the MCU, and maybe it'll just kind of start to dwindle, die, and fade off. So I am afraid of the future of the MCU. I don't really know what it looks like. I'm still going to be there opening night or as early as I can possibly be because I love these movies, but I just don't know how everyone else is going to feel. But if this is the ending of it, if this is where, you know, the last big epic movie we get, it was a perfect conclusion. Yes, I said perfect. So if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what were your spoiler-filled thoughts on Avengers Endgame. We can finally talk about it. This is the video where you do that. Give me all your thoughts. I'll give you all of mine. Let's get the discussion going. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap.